Welcome to Gen Z Hoops, the Gen Z basketball, coaching, and sports business show. On this podcast, you'll learn from professional players, coaches, and executives from all over the world and see the court in a brand new way. And now, joining you courtside, your Gen Z host, John Hartophilus.
Coach Marcus, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, man? Appreciate you having me on.
Doing really good. Really excited to have you on the show. Congrats on the new role with Motor City. And I mean, I'm really excited to just, even before that, dive into all the stuff that kind of got you to this point, now working with the G League, but even touching so many lives with whether it's young players or just all the high-level pros you worked out with over the years. I know it's going to be a lot of fun.
For sure, man. It's been an interesting journey, and to be able to have this opportunity back home, man, and at the the highest level of basketball, it's amazing. So
definitely can't wait to dive into it. I know everyone's always asked you about the NBA and the G League right off the bat. And I'm sure that you get that every day. I kind of want to take it back to like your high school days. And I've heard you talk a lot about how you maybe weren't that guy that got all these offers as a freshman or sophomore in high school. If you can talk to us a little bit about maybe your high school years, falling in love with the game, and maybe how that motivated you to help other kids maybe get those opportunities right away.
Yeah, no, that was not a fun situation going through it, but where I'm at now, I really realized the value in going through that. Like I said, just a little background. I went to Detroit Renaissance High School. My senior year, we had a really good team. We finished number 2 in the country. I played with 2 McDonald's All-Americans. So I had a smaller role on the team, and I kind of, looking back on it, had to figure out how to still be successful, how to still showcase my game, because we had a very good team. So within that, still being a major factor on the team, which I was, but, doing the small things and mastering those things and having to sacrifice some parts of my game. So just taking that experience, that's majority of players anyway. Majority of us are not going to have the ball. The higher levels we go, we're not going to take all the shots. We're going to have to learn how to master our role and be great, within whatever the role the coach gives us, which a lot of times is a smaller role than we would like, So that's allowed me to, when I was, in my training with players, to have certain conversations, use certain lingo, just be able to relate in a certain way of, you got to figure it out. It's not an excuse, it's always a way to figure out how to be great within your role.
That's fantastic advice, and thinking about being great within your role, whatever that might look like. You went from 0 to 100 at Fordham, right? When you got there, right? Starting to win all these awards as a rookie, and then later on, and being in the Hall of Fame, one of the highest scores in program history. What did that look like for you? What did your role look like maybe when you got there, and how did you change that as your time there went on?
I always felt that in high school I could be that player. Just always felt that's the kind of player I was. One of the better players on every team I played on. I wasn't always able to showcase that. So no, just coming into Fordham, I had a real fire just in my belly, in my mind. Like, I felt like I could have been a very good high school player, and I had a decent career, but not the career that I wanted to have, that I felt I was capable of having, the belief I had in myself. So coming to Fordham, one of the reasons I chose the school is because I had a chance to play initially, and they wanted me to have a big role, initially on the team. And they gave me the vision of being one of the, the main players on the team. So I'm like, man, this is what I've been waiting for. This is what I'm ready to roll. So going to Fordham, and at first I started off kind of slow. It's hard to go from a smaller role to somebody throwing you into a bigger role and to just adjust quickly. Some people are capable. I started a little slower, but once I got my rhythm, it was just like no looking back, because I remember how I felt when I had a smaller role and wanting a bigger role and not being able to do it. Like, I was like, now that I had a chance and opportunity, man, like I had to take full advantage, So it was more so just like, the thing for me was 2 things. I used to doubt in the moment, because when you're the man and you have a bigger role, it's a lot of responsibility that comes with that also. It's going to be times when you're not playing well, or the team is depending on you to show up every game now. You can't take plays off. So in those moments before, where I could hide a little bit, might not be feeling it that day, I could kind of fall back and still be taken care of. Now I got to figure it out. And in those moments, you kind of battle your confidence a little bit. It's like, man, am I really capable of showing up every day and being the man and leading this team and being my best self? You kind of doubt those things, but it's growth in a lot of that, personally in the game. And for me, that was the first thing that I had to battle was not doing it. People telling me I couldn't do it, but me believing I could do it. So in the moment, maybe things not going exactly how I want them. Which way am I going to choose? Am I going to choose to believe who I am, who I say I am? Or am I going to choose to believe what other people say I am, and lose confidence? And that's one thing you can't do in this game. No matter how you feeling or whatever, you can't allow your confidence to drop. You got to tap in and just stay strong and stay confident. So that was the first thing. Then the second thing, man, was like, I just knew I was a great player. And it's like, I hear people say it like, man, you just went there and went crazy. I'm like, yeah, I did. But like, that's who I am though. I just wasn't able to show it. And I think a lot of people run into that. You never get a chance or opportunity to show who you are. And I was very fortunate to have that at the collegiate level. And I ran with it and I was capable. I worked hard. And I really got to show who I truly was, who I always thought I was, not other people, but just what I believe, who I believed I was.
So it's obviously been a passion for you, for coaching for all these years. That's what you love doing, right? Is getting other people to know who they truly are on the basketball court, right? And that's kind of the basics about being a coach, is getting that out of young players. Did you always know you were going to do that? Because I noticed, right, you were coaching AAU while you were kind of in the same year you were playing overseas. Tell us a little about that. I think that's super cool that you're kind of doing both at the same time. And was that always in the cards for you?
Yeah, I never really knew what I wanted to do. I never thought past really playing basketball because I was so entrenched on it. My parents always did a good job of telling me, like, don't let basketball define you. And, at the higher level, sometimes you fall into letting it define you and not forecasting, when things could happen. So I really just coached AAU for a summer to really just help my friend out who had started the AAU team. And he asked me to help him out. I was coming off an injury, trying to get back playing. So I just felt it was a way I really was just helping him out. It wasn't even at that time about obviously like helping kids, but I wasn't like, man, I want to help kids with basketball. It was just like, he asked me, I thought I was like, all right, you my boy. I know the game. I got some experience in it. So I got you, so that's how it started. It wasn't a master plan or anything that I had,
And what I think is really cool, and we'll talk about all the we'll get back to coaching, but you've done so much to help kids, maybe even off the court. And I saw a little bit about the Stout internship program. Can you talk a little about that and maybe how initiatives like that help kids in some ways that don't really involve basketball too much?
For me, I'm just big on people. I love people and I love seeing people succeed. I love seeing people happy. And our common denominator is just basketball. For me, it's not about the game or how many points you score. It's just about the connection that we get and how I can help you just as a person. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about is, everybody living happy lives, being happy on a daily basis. So the internship program basically was just a thought of mine and a program that I created to only, to give a kid opportunity to get this experience that I had running the basketball training company. What does the business of basketball look like? And give them that experience early, but also in the same token, have them around me consistently where we can have conversations. He can see the ins and outs of how I run things, even have basketball talks. Me and my intern Remy this year, us being around each other so much, it just helped him so much just in terms of us talking basketball and not just the workouts, but him working with me and us spending so much time. So it was just a holistic view of giving somebody a real inside picture of what my life looks like, how I move, this something they might want to do, and just help them for the future to just for exposure,
I love that. We're thinking about being a mentor to younger players and really helping them through really showing them exactly what it means to kind of live the life that you're living right now. And I think that's awesome. So it's great thinking about how you're doing all this stuff for kids, right, all off the court and all that. But I know there's a lot of lessons that you take real pride into, like in your gym. And your gym's called The Trench. I thought that was really cool. Can you talk to us a little about maybe what goes on inside the trench and what makes it different from other gyms?
Yeah, when I was doing the workouts, with The Trench, I got to shout out Remy Torbert and Deja Church. They're the ones that Deja plays at DePaul and Remy is at Westminster in Utah. But they're the ones, and Deja was the first one to start. Man, it's The Trench. She just started saying it, and it kind of just caught on, just because of and The Trench is just all about, it's the energy. It's just the vibe, man. It's like when you walk in there, it's the energy in the gym that we're here to get better. We're here to have fun. We're here to push each other. We're going to talk junk, but it's a place of love. It's a place of growth. It's a place to come and mess up. People care about you. We ain't going to get on you. We're going to push you to be better. You know what I'm saying? I say we're not going to get on, but we're going to push you to be better, whatever that is, And it's a community. Those are words I would use to describe The Trench, man. It's like when you step in there, like you're going to stick out if you're not about your business and work in a certain way. We have a high level standard in there. I try to do my best to set that bar as high as possible because I'm like, man, we gonna do this. Anything I want to do, I want to be great at it. And I try to pass that on to the players I work with. Like, you can't settle. You can't allow yourself to settle. You can't cheat yourself. Like, you got to continue to push yourself every single day, every moment, even when you don't feel like it, to be great. So that vibe, man, is just like it's just become a community. It's become an energy. It's become just a lot of fun, competition, high level, where we all strive and achieving through the game of basketball to be as great as we can in our own lanes and collectively, doing and helping each other through that.
That's the vibe, like you said, it's the vibe you need to be great. It's an incredible thing about how you're doing that for younger players. And we've been talking about younger players a lot, but I know all our listeners are here for this is the good stuff, right? All the NBA pros that you've worked with and all that. So talk to us a little bit about pro hoops. I've actually heard about it for the last few years. A good friend of the show, Ryan McGraw, having worked with it before. And obviously I have to shout out Henry for putting us in touch with each other. But talk to us a little about pro hoops and maybe what that was like, because I would hear about it from Ryan. I always thought it was so cool. I was like 16, 17 at the time. I'm like, wow, like you're going over and doing all this stuff with NBA guys. Like, that's so cool.
Right.
Tell us a little bit, what you kind of had going on there and some of the players you might have worked with.
Yeah, so no, Pro Hoops is a company that was started by, I got to shout out Jay Hernandez, who's currently assistant coach with the Charlotte Hornets. So he started Pro Hoops when I was in college and, probably before I was in college, but I got connected with them when I went to Fordham. Ross Burns, who recruited me to Fordham, left after my sophomore year, and him and Jay, he joined Jay and they did Pro Hoops together. It was just Jay and then Ross joined, and it just kind of grew and they built it up into this high level training company, where, like I said, when I was in college, I worked with them. They were going around doing a lot of camps, just grinding it out. Jay was in Long Island. Ross was more so based in the Manhattan, in the city area. And they just built that thing together, man, on top of what Jay had started. And that trickled down to myself. I played at Fordham for Ross, worked out with them when I was in New York. I started my own training company in Michigan after I got done playing and dealing with injuries. And then I got a chance to go back and work with Pro Hoops. So it was just paying it forward through a community, through great people. And I was able to, Jay started doing pre-draft training. And he was able to get, I remember the names like CJ McCollum, Jeremy Lamb, I want to say Kemba Walker, when they would come out in the draft. And I'm not sure how we set it up, but that's became part of the company, arm of the company. And that's how I was able to come in and really start being a major part of the pre-draft process, working with those guys. And so it was just paying it forward. Like Ryan, once again, me just forward thinking and helping people. I'm like, man, let me find somebody at Fordham. This would be a great experience, a great opportunity on their resume, something that they could use. So that's how I got connected with Ryan. I just reached out to the school. I'm like, man, I got this opportunity. I want to help somebody from the school. It ended up being Ryan, small world. So just paying it forward, man, like it was for me. I try to do the same thing.
It's so fun thinking about how that all comes together, and it's definitely really cool, right? Thinking about how it is a small world, and this basketball world is it's so cool thinking about all that. And the stuff you did at Pro Hoops was so cool, kind of paying it forward, like you said, to the next generation, whether it's young guys like Ryan who are working it, or the young players that are now making big waves in the league. Definitely cool thinking about that. What are the trends? So what was your coach? So I know you had like your own training company going on. Like, what was maybe everything looking like for you? Were you in Detroit a lot? Were you maybe in New York a lot doing Pro Hoops? Like, what did your schedule look like during that time of kind of doing all that, going back to Flint and doing some stuff with Flint United? Like, that must have been a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, so I was in New York for about 6 years, just strictly based in New York, just doing training with the youth out there, doing some philanthropy work, and then working with a lot of pros. Got to do pre-draft, and through that, just being in the NBPA, got to just connect with a lot of pros. Marvin Bagley, Malik Monk, Jamal Murray, Brandon Ingram, Derek White, just to name a few of the guys. Dylan Brooks. I was fortunate to go through the pre-draft process with Rondé Hollis Jefferson. That was a blessing, So I was just strictly based in New York. I always wanted to come back home and do some things and help the players where I was from in Detroit. Through the pandemic, I came back home, and I was fortunate to have the opportunity to do that, which at the gym that I was using, and just wanted to bring the experience that I had from pre-draft with the NBA, with New York, back to Michigan, and just bring a new energy, a new approach. Not new, but more so different, because it's a different experience, being somewhere else and bringing it back. Not to say it's better or worse, but it's different. And I think different can always it has a benefit to it, So all my experiences as a player, training, coaching, I coached Pro City out in New York. I just kind of brought that back and wanted to help the youth. And that just turned to me connecting with a lot of the top players here. And that turned into the trench, So from there, Trench turned into an opportunity from Flint United. I always wanted to coach. I was just kind of waiting on the right opportunity to jump into it. I always viewed myself as a teacher of basketball, not a trainer. I just love the game. I love to teach it. I learned the right way, the fundamentals, and I just haven't chosen to step into coaching, some always wanted to do. So Flint United opportunity came along. I was ecstatic about that, to step into it at a pro level, which is where I always wanted to coach at the top level, to challenge myself personally. And that's kind of where that came from in Flint, being back in Michigan, from the trench, helping people. Some of the players from Flint United were coming through, so I got connected with the organization. So that's pretty much how that went. Like, my schedule in New York was great. I was able to travel around and go to a lot of games, a lot of NBA games, a lot of college games, a lot of people coming through, working out, Madison Square Garden, Barclays, Knicks, Nets. It's just a lot of basketball coming through. So my days were amazing, man. I got to be in the gym. On certain days, I was in the gym for 12 hours. On certain days, I wasn't in the gym at all. So I was just either watching basketball or teaching basketball. That's the best life for me. So
that is so cool. I mean, talk about a basketball life right there. I mean, I absolutely love all of that. And thinking about just being in the gym 12 hours a day, going to all these games, seeing all these players, it's got to be so much fun, and definitely a life, right, that I'm hoping to live one day, and seeing all that take place, which is so cool. But then I'm sure this is the part where, right, all the Motor City fans that listen to the show are kind of tuning in for. Maybe they'll skip to this part. I'll have it in the show notes. They can skip to this part probably. I'm talking about your role now with Motor City. So I'm curious, how did that go down? And tell us a little about maybe your new role there and what that might look like.
Like I said, I always wanted to coach at the highest level, the NBA. That was always a goal of mine. And it's something that I had been pursuing for a while, building my network, reaching out to people, studying the game, film, just all kind of things, just preparing myself for an opportunity. I went out to Summer League this year in Vegas for a couple of days just to check out a few of the guys I've been working with. And I got a text when I got back, a guy who was named the head coach of the G League team. I had never met him before, but we just had a lot of connections, a lot of mutual connections. And on top of that, I got to shout out like Rob Murphy, who's the GM of our team, of the Motor City Cruise. He's from Detroit. Just a lot of mutual energy, a lot of connections, a lot of people. I don't want to throw out too many names and stuff, but just it was a lot of people in my corner that really pushed for me, that believed in me, that seen my work, that pushed me for this opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Like, Rob was a person of Detroit that I played against him in high school. He's coached at Syracuse. I played against him at Syracuse. So it was just me and DJ, the head coach, DJ Baker of the Cruise. We just had a lot of mutual connections. And I guess my name kept being mentioned to him on top of certain important people mentioning my name to him. And so we reached out, we went through the interview process, and it went well. It went well. And I was very, very fortunate and blessed to get this opportunity, man, to be a assistant coach, on the Motor City Cruise in the G League, and not just do player development, which is what I've been doing, but actually growing my craft as a coach, which is something that I want to do in terms of, scouting reports. It's a different thing just doing player development or coaching. So this is an opportunity for me to grow as a full-time coach, which I'm like super excited about.
Love that, right? How you can add so much more to your arsenal, right? And like, your player development's always been your bread and butter, but you can always add to it and add all these other skills around it, which is great. And thinking about, right, the kind of coming, the G League team kind of coming to Motor City, going into the heart of Detroit, that's got to work perfectly, right? And it's great seeing the G League, maybe the teams working so hand in hand together. That's got to be awesome. We spoke off air about all the people that have come on the show before from Detroit, and that kind of circle, and it's all cool thinking about all that. Yeah. One thing you mentioned, like your role and how you're excited to add more on top of player development. One thing I noticed about it was you also have community relations liaison on top of your title. What does that entail, and what are you excited to do with that, maybe added responsibility?
Yeah, I'm just as excited as that, because like I said, my passion and purpose is helping the youth, and that's something that I've already been doing. A lot of people in this line of business, one thing I try to tell people when they ask me is there's a lot of free work that does get done that is not really spoken on, or because there's a lot of people that you can help that necessarily can't afford your services, or just different situations, and you get creative and you come up with ways to continue to help people, where you're not a detriment to yourself, but you give in the way of helping people, and that's where my heart is at, where my mind is at, what my spirit is about. So this community relations title, when they asked me, there's something I was interested in, I was definitely excited about that, because I'm like, man, this is what I do anyway, like basketball, community. I try to tie those two things together. So I'm able to get into the community, use this platform with the players on our G League team, also myself, continue to be not only removed and focus on myself coaching, but I can still touch the youth through this community part and not just be away. And a lot of times people get NBA jobs, you get high-level jobs, and it takes you away from, maybe if you were helping certain people, because you have to, at certain points of your life, choose yourself. But have an opportunity to choose myself and better myself and my craft, but also still be able to, through that position, to continue to help the youth, to continue to touch them, to give them experiences, was like, it was a no-brainer for me,
I love that. And the idea that you can still do both is incredible. You don't have to sacrifice anything, and you kind of do what you're already passionate about in this new role. I'm super excited for it. I know you had the first open tryout, first open practice yesterday for the fans to come and watch for Motor City, for the Detroit Pistons. What maybe the next few days looking like for you until the season starts, maybe with the next few weeks, really getting ready for the start of the season?
Yeah, no, so we've been, the Pistons have been great, man. So, the Pistons have officially started training camp. So they'd allow our G League staff, we're fortunate that our offices are in the same building as the Pistons. So we've been fully entrenched working with the Pistons every day. So we've just been locked in with them, learning the system, learning how they want things done, so we can kind of take that energy and use our program to help them build and help them better the players that they're going to be sending us, or the players that are striving to get to their team, So that's what my days have been looking like. And our staff is prepping for the season, how we want to do things. But on top of that, learning from great coaches. Like, it's so much coaching knowledge in the business. Coach Casey has been wonderful, just super, super nice, man. Just welcoming everybody. You got Billy Baino, you got Troy Weaver, who's been great, the GM of the team. It's just been so much basketball knowledge. Jerome Allen, just to name a few, who was just in Boston. Just to be able to rub elbows with these guys, watch them work, talk to them, get to know them, ask them questions. Like, it's been this last month has been like a basketball, like, one-on-one for me, man. It's just been such a learning experience and a growth experience for me. So that's what this has looked like. We've been really involved with the Pistons, and the draft for the G League is October 23rd. So we'll be starting training camp 25th or the 26th, a few days after. And so we're just prepping for that right now.
I'm excited to see it, and can't wait for the season to kick off and really be tuning in and watching and seeing how everything kind of shapes up. I'm looking forward to seeing you on February 27th when the Long Island Nets play the Motor City Cruise up in Long Island. Might have to bring Ryan to that game too. We'll see how that goes. So that'll be a lot of fun. But really excited to see this new beginning for you, and I'm super excited to see how it all goes. I'll definitely be checking in, and we'll be talking as it's happening. Really rooting for you and for the team, and super excited to have you on the show and to tell your awesome story, because thinking about how, especially in your new role, you could I'm not just talking in the past tense, how you helped kids in the past, or how you've helped touch lives or help grow the game of basketball. You're still doing that right now, even though you're with an NBA team. So I think that's awesome. And I'm really excited to see how that keeps going forward. Thank you so much, Coach.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on the show. Like I said, there's so many people that I can name that helped me get to this position. And it means the world to me that people believe in me. Like I said, I just want to make sure I mention their names, from Rob Murphy, who's the GM, Duran Walker, who's my AU coach who works in the organization, Troy Weaver, who's a great friends with my assistant coach from college, Pat Garrity, just a lot of people that I just wanted to name, those few names that really had to trust in me, and people that I greatly respect, admire, watch from afar, and were able to connect with, man. Like, they've given me this opportunity, so I want to make them proud, and I want to be able to do the same with somebody in the future. This isn't about me. So I appreciate you giving me the platform to spread my message, to spread the word. We continue to build together, and I'm looking forward to just seeing you in Long Island. Hopefully we can get a win, being back in New York.
Thanks for listening to Gen Z Hoops. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on Instagram, LinkedIn, and all major social media platforms at Gen Z Hoops. You can tune in and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and every other podcast platform on the planet. Get ready for the next episode.